Hello, 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 it's Dindanmex, another game of League. Right. Actually, this one is gonna be a good one for me to savor here. Um, there's something called trash talking in the game. Oh my god. And I usually do it a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I do trash talk a lot. Especially for the ones that believe they're really good and they're like in low elo and stuff like that, and they really haven't proven themselves yet, and they have like a superior team that plays better. Um, yeah, this game is for that. Um, Usually, team members that or like people that try to cheese their way into a match. Um, for example, not following meta is perfect because you surprise the opposition. There's strengths and weaknesses for everything, including following meta. I believe if you follow meta and you don't win a match, you're a lot weaker than someone who doesn't follow meta and they win a match, as in overall understanding the actual game of it. I think meta makes it easy for you to make mistakes and make a comeback, though. Not following meta doesn't. Now, at the same time, it depends on your build. So if you're trying to cheese your way into a win, your build better be a good one. And this is where you start noticing the difference between really good players and bad players. Really good players tend to have a build that can withstand almost anything. So if they're behind, they can come back. If they're in front, they can snowball and end the game. Bad players, cheese players, are usually like really gifted mechanically, and they would rather just kind of make you quit because it seems like they're snowballing and like their late game is going to be strong. But it's not, because their build is actually kind of just trash. It was just really meant. It was really just meant to take advantage of the early game, and a lot of players can't transition from that. They can't go from having a legitimate character to having a cheese character that they probably saw, I don't know, online or something like that. Like, you know, maybe someone like Glacier using it, or, you know, someone like, I don't know, some other players. I think that's the difference between actually getting to Masters and Challenger compared to staying at Diamond and Plat. It's understanding the game at a very different level, and getting to see how deep the game can actually get. And your build has to be precise. Like, your build has to work against almost anything in any scenario. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but usually, actually, at least I have never seen it myself, but in League, like in the pros, I've never seen anyone actually forfeit, no matter how badly they were getting beaten. Now, there might have been a few games that they forfeit, but usually you don't see them forfeit. And the reason is because anything can happen. And so when you're facing these lower elo people, they usually end up quitting way before there's an actual fight. And for some reason, it's not popping up. Where are you? No. Should probably pop up here shortly or something. Anyways, let me check it out. But yeah, so that's actually a really big hint to know whether you're going to be playing against a strong opponent or if he's actually a shitty opponent. And the one that I actually face on this one is a shitty one. I mean, I don't want to call it that way. I'm sorry, bro, if you get to see this video, but yeah, you ain't that good. So the match up top is Cass versus Garen. And Cass is a cheese character. Usually Faker uses Cass, but he knows how to use it very well. Now, the reason I say Cass is a cheese character is because you do have to have skill to use her, but at the same time, you gotta have a little bit more than just skill. You kind of have to understand how the game ebbs and flows and the ins and outs and everything. So it's not just being able to mechanically learn how to use Cass. It's you have to actually understand her build. You have to understand what she's all about. You have to understand multiple things of her. And to face a character like that, this is evidently, it looks like it's frozen. I have to reset this thing here. Okay. Thought I was actually gonna do something. I didn't do anything. Now I'm a little sick, so. So yeah, it all depends on your character. It depends on how well you know that character. It depends on how well you know the map, how well you understand your late game. To assume that a character is going to be great late game is to assume that the player that's playing them knows how to build. So they're like, oh, I'm late game. It's like when I hear that, usually it's a big red sign, because that means that they haven't really studied the game very well. That means that they don't understand that there could be early, middle, and late game. Like, I don't know if you ever noticed, but in the pros, you don't hear anyone say, oh, well, they're late game. But you do hear them say they're trying to, build a certain build to achieve a certain task within their, certain team comp. And my Garen is built to beat anybody on a 1v1 basis. Whether you're range, up close, whatever it is, my Garen is supposed to be able to take you out. Now, just recently, I've been developing a Garen that's able to 1v1 and split, and at the same time be great in team fights. And that's the legendary Garen. So that's been my mission this whole entire time, to be able to build something like that. I haven't been able to completely get it yet. There was glimpses here and there of the Garen that was a full AD, but there wasn't really anything where it would keep me from falling behind or falling off late game, or not keeping me within the game. Okay, now it's actually showing up. But now it's actually not letting me. So there's the Cassiopeia. Okay, I've noticed that face rush is like I'm gonna say it right off the bat. If you get beat by a face rush, you don't know how to lane. You don't know how to, that should not be able to win the game. Is the idea. Face rush is supposed to be strictly for split pushing, and the only way that wins is if you don't understand the map presence. It's a very good item, and usually higher elo people will use it because they usually don't have enough patience to finish a game up appropriately. So if you get beaten by face rush, you should be pretty ashamed. In a match. Has to be a match. Can't be like a 1v1. Usually face rush is very good, especially like on Cassiopeia. It actually kind of makes sense because you can move quickly and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to understand that most of these characters don't know. I mean, I'm playing in the gold elo, so more than likely these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. Cassiopeia usually, when used by Faker, is late game, but I don't think Faker uses face rush. And the rune system now is completely different than the rune system that was there in Season 7. So let's debunk some theories, okay? Because I've noticed that if you're gold or below, usually you have these false theories. And then if you're platinum and diamond, you also have different false. Now, bear in mind, this is my... I started, I believe, in the late Season 5 or 6. Let me see. I don't even remember. I think I've had at least 2 years playing this game. By the way, I've never played PC games before this game. Oh, yeah, this will tell me what season I started in, actually. Okay, I started late season 5. Ended up being silver 5, or yeah, I ended up being silver. I think the highest I got was silver 2, silver 1 that season. Then season 6 I was gold. I didn't play too much, but I was starting to get a lot into it. I want to say at the late season 6, beginning season 7, I decided to start getting a little bit more serious. So I've had roughly 2 years, I want to say, playing this game. Even though season 5, we're in season 8 already. Really, season 5 I kind of tested it out. Never played PC games before, never knew about the mouse, never knew about the keyboard, anything like that. So my skill set is not as advanced as some of these other people's when it comes down to, you know, PC games. But that's all irrelevant when it comes down to the fact of understanding how the game flows. I still make a lot of mistakes, by the way. Like a shitload of mistakes. You're gonna see some here. Okay, this is not working. I guess I'll just have to wait till it starts. And then we'll lower this down a little bit. So in this specific matchup here, I'm going versus, like I say, Cassiopeia top. If you look at their team comp, the majority of them are squishy. You got a Jinx, you got a Zerath, you got Evelyn and Cassiopeia, and then you got a Leona. And once again, this is this Elam is actually pretty weak. Gold and silvers. So I don't know why she thought she was that good. Season 5 shows. Oh, season. Anyways, so Cass was trying to, I guess, mentally be. I want to say all games below Diamond are mind games. So if your opponent believes that they've lost the match, they've lost the match. Like, it's so weird. Cassiopeia thought that I was going to just, like, I guess, roll over and die because she had a really strong advantage early game. And I made a lot of mistakes early game just because I knew how this game was going to go. And I got a little impatient. But I think I found a build on Garen where even if I end up starting bad, you know, early game, I can come back late game. And if I start great early game, I can continue that pressure all the way past late. I just get better. And so the build that I have on Garen is actually, the new rune system actually makes him pretty strong early game and really strong late game. And that mid game, I want to say, is his peak. So mid game is the strongest he can probably get. You can normally close out a game during that time frame because he can literally like take over a game by himself. Late game, he doesn't fall off, but he's not as strong in his peak form. So, but what I mean by that is he can't take on the 1v5 group, but he can take on 1v2s and 1v3s, and that's really strong late game. And back then, he wasn't be able to do that. If you're going full tank version, he's not going to be able to kill anybody. I mean, he'll absorb damage, but he's not going to be able to kill anybody. And then if you go full AD, you'll be able to kill maybe one person, maybe two, but then that's it. But this Garen can actually take on 3. 1v3 that shit. And that's really strong late game. If your character build can beat 3 people up, then more than likely you're going to be able to carry the game and help out your team. And if your team is just slightly decent, it's going to change the gameplay. It'll help you out. And right now, in this one, I play with Darkest Neox, and he can carry the game too. So just me and him can technically 2v5 people. We can rock shop, especially mid game and late game too. The following people don't really matter when we play, as long as they don't feed and as long as they just believe. Usually ends up being that way. But this game starts off really, really bad. They get a huge advantage over us, and they're extremely cocky. Now, here's the bad thing about all these characters that they've chosen. Cassiopeia is late game, but she needs somebody to protect her because she is squishy. It doesn't matter how good you are, it's a squishy character. Evelyn, same thing. Xerath, same thing. Jinx, same thing. So they're all putting it on Leo. Leo has to time it correctly and stun everybody and do all these magical things that make Leo OP. That's a mistake in low elo. If you're depending on somebody else, that's GG. You're gonna lose. 9 times out of 10, you will lose that match. Reason is because low elo is not perfect. That's another reality that I want you guys to understand. If the pros make mistakes, and I've seen Faker, what's it called, the Fell Flash. I've seen it. I've seen him also get paired up with trash. What I don't understand is how can you have trash that high up, but there is trolls still in the challenger section. So, oh, there you go. Yay! Yay! Let me see what I can find. Yes. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna stop this little song thing. And then I'll close this up. And then I'll go back to this. There it is. Okay. And I'm in again. So I had to say that early on. I know you guys haven't seen any of the game yet. It's been actually kind of loading. Okay. But our team comp also, if the Yasuo's somewhat decent, you notice the Yasuo's, if they get, I guess you could say, fed early on, they kind of complete the whole entire matchup. And then Trists usually are late game for their crazy burst damage. And then Brahms usually do get stronger as the game goes on. Usually they're not that strong early game. So none of our characters really have early game besides Shiv. Shiv's actually pretty strong early game. And then she just goes crazy. And then she doesn't fall off completely late game, but she's not as relevant late game. As in like a pop off, like where you reach your peak. Like Trist's peak is late game, Yasuo's peak is mid late game, Brahms the same thing. Garen's with my build here is the same thing, and Shiv's actually starts off strong early game. She gets strong also mid late game. So we have mid late game strength. Cassiopeia is supposed to be late game, but she can take control of the game early on too. And it all depends on the skills. So Cass is very skill based. Firecracker Jinx, same thing. And then Xerath is same thing. He can actually be pretty broken. So all these champions have their own different strengths and potentials. The only thing is the skill based part. Evelyn requires a lot of skills, what I've noticed. Cass also. Xerath does too. Jinx not so much, but she still requires some. And Leo, I think Leo's the easiest one to use out of everybody. On my end, obviously Garen requires very little skill. There's still skill required there. Shiv requires some skill. I've tried using her. I can't use her the way he does. He's a fucking beast at it, so congratulations. Yas requires some skill. Not too much, but his skill, I don't want to say is unlimited, but like, if you can get the hang of that nigga, whew, he can come. You just have to be very creative with that guy. So his skill set is still pretty high, but it's not. I think it's based off of creativity. I'm not kidding you. It's how creative can you be with that guy. Trist's skill base is to some extent pretty good too, and Brahm's skill base I think is a little harder than Leo's, just because you have to land a few more skill shots and you have to press more buttons to go to different locations, and you got to time things right. So a lot of people say, well, Garen requires no skill whatsoever. Trust me, he requires a lot of skill. How do you fight a ranged character? Oh, well, you just tank up. If you end up doing that, you don't know how to play. You have no skill. There's a lot that goes into Garen that a lot of people don't know. And it's like, oh, I can just build this, I can build that, I just do this, I stop my Q, I do that. No. you got to think in terms of how is it that he cannot fall off? How is it that he can take on anybody 1v1? Because technically, I think Garen is one of the few characters that can 1v1 anyone besides Fiora and Jax. I believe there's very few characters up in that top line. Gnar can't really do... Gnar's used a lot in the pros because of his poke. It's really hard for any melee champion who has no poke to fight against a ranged champion. And a ranged champion technically should always beat a no poke melee just by... If you have the same skill set, you have the same mentality, you have the same gameplay, range will beat melee just because of the ranged part. So if you put like two robots that were equally in the same skill set and you just end up poking the other one out and the other one always has to run away, that's it. The only reason poke ends up losing is 1, human error, 2, creativity, the way you use your champion, and 3, depending on your build set. So Gnar is used heavily in the pros because most of them are equal in skill set, equal in creativity. They all kind of got taught the same stuff. They all play the same play style, so it'd be pretty hard to beat them. And they play meta. Meta allows you to make mistakes. Is the idea. That's the way I see it. I don't see meta as in the god all be all. That's how you play it. No, it's just meta gives you extra strength, so you can have that human error factor, and you can punish errors extremely quickly, or you can survive a little bit longer by if you do make errors. Precision is insane. So, like using a Yasuo is pretty hard. Using a Shaco, for example, like in the pros, they'll tell you the reason they don't use Shaco is because he's kind of predictable, and that's what I want. You guys, if you guys ever play with me or you guys ever play with anyone else, especially if you're in my group, I want you to understand that most of this stuff is predictable, especially the higher up you go. So noobs won't go that path, or so this is how you tell if it's a good player or not. So newbies usually think they know what's supposed to be good, so they start off and they experiment with that, especially in ranked, and that's perfectly fine. It might work, it might not. Hey, you never know, they might figure something out, but usually they end up choosing stuff that's already been chosen before and it's proven not to work. So in the pros, they'll tell you this is the best way of doing things, but at the same time, if it's the best way of doing things and you're fighting a person that is knowledgeable of this, then they're going to stop you from doing those things, and then all of a sudden that plan is not the best plan anymore. Then you would have to do other things. There's usually 3 ways to get the most out of it, but there's always one that guarantees you the most. And lower elos tend to be like, oh, this is what the pros do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it, not having, in fact, that there's a whole entire game plan behind that thing. So no, it's not just to get an early start, it's to snowball, it's to gain certain items, it's to play a certain role in that team. So if they follow that route, but they're not looking at the middle and end game, then that plan was for nothing. You can't win a game early. That's like a chess move. You can't move a queen, early on. There's exceptions to the rule, but normally you can't win the game if you move out the queen and the opposition plays very hard defense. The queen's going to become very vulnerable, and you're just going to lose time, and then you're going to end up losing the game. And that's actually what happens in this one. They didn't know how to close, and they tried forcing it down one area that wasn't the right decision, and we ended up taking the game. And they did not like it. Excuse me, I think I did get sick. Shit. Alright. Well, this thing ever decides to load. I've been waiting on this like forever. Okay. I think it froze on me. It froze on me. Nah. Yep, not responding. That's what I thought. Let's go ahead and end that. Oh, it's responding here. Oh, it works and then it doesn't work. It works and then it don't work. Oh, it's working again. I can look at it, it works, and then it don't work. Oh, I think it don't work. Okay, it's working. Weird, so weird. Alright, there we go. So you're kind of going to see what happens here. Oh, the load is so slow. There it is. Let's go in it. Okay, so here you guys go with a little secret up front. Like I said, everything's normally very predictable. Look how everybody starts. The idea is usually you start bot, just because you're closer to 2-man, so there's more people, and that means you leave the top unguarded. And Cass, if she really was good, she would have warded that blue, which she didn't. So since she didn't ward that blue, now I know that she's not good. And so our team, you see that, how they're like over there by the blue, that's actually pretty good. Technically, y'all should go ward the red. If you look at the pros immediately start warding their area. They very rarely do what we do, but the reason we do what we do there is because we're taking advantage of the newbies. That's what it's considered to know if you're noob. If there was people in there, we know that they have some experience, they're veterans, but these guys don't know. Look at that. This is ranked, by the way. Trust me, you can actually try this almost in every game, and very rarely or seldom will you get actual people that do something. Besides, this actually helped me out with gathering souls, so that's actually another reason I do. Now Evelyn is coming back. We try to take 2 once again. It's the souls. The souls is the biggest key here. I don't really care about anything else. We would kill her. You see that kite right there? Mechanically good. I'm gonna have to give it to him. I had a flash there because, yeah, he would have caught me. So as soon as I fought her, I knew that that cast was mechanically well, and the collapse was actually pretty good from Xerath and them. But the fact that they allowed that to happen allows me to know where their skill set's at. So always remember this, bronzies are usually bad at skill sets, and they have no idea of the map. Like they don't understand the map, they don't understand builds, they don't understand anything. They just know that there's certain things that work, and they try to achieve such a task. So that way, hopefully, they end up winning the game. And when they're not winning the game, then they're gonna be like, we don't understand. Silvers are usually a little bit better gifted mechanically, as in skill-wise, and they kind of understand a little bit more of the purpose of the game, but they're still oblivious to everything. Like, for example, what just happened right there. They should have known what's gonna happen. See, he got a. Did he get a kill? Yeah, they killed Shiv because Shiv started early, and Drake, and he might have guessed at it, or maybe he notices that Shivs usually do take it early. If you're fighting a Shiv, more likely she's going to take that, post level 3, post level 4. A good Shiv. Bad Shiv, not going to. Look at that constant poke. Tells me this person has played with Cass before and they kind of have an idea on how to use her. But all she's doing is just poking me from the range. She knows that she has me from range, so she's feeling extremely cocky and confident now. If Shiv had not died there, Shiv could probably, we can take her on because that's a mistake, by the way. The fact that she knows that she's good at this is actually her weakness in this one. Why? Well, look how far up she's pushed. There are no wards there. She has not warded. So, I made a mistake there. I got a little too far there. All I have to do really is just kind of sit under my turret and wait for these little minions. But I wanted to get the soul essence. I almost died there, actually. I think she could have just flashed in and killed me. But that push right there, how she's superly overly aggro because she knows she has me. She knows she's good at mechanics. Is a mistake. She's taking advantage of the fact that she knew that my jungler died, and more than likely she wasn't going to come back top for a whole minute. Oh yeah, every opportunity she has, she's spamming all the abilities. She evidently knows how to build. Now, if this was a Smurf, great job. Look at that, she warded everything. Everything's warded, she knows. That's actually really good, but I'm sorry to tell you that I've fought Smurfs before, so I don't know what your real account is. That was a really good one, because she did everything on the book. She got that ward over there. She knows that there's a gank now. Earlier though, she was a lot more open than she is now. Right there, I'm letting her know that I am not afraid of her. I don't know why I just didn't hit her. I have to back up again. I haven't backed up. I pressed the wrong button. Where's she going? 44 CS. That is really good CS. She has a lot of... I technically shouldn't be so aggro. I should just wait it out. Kind of freeze the little lane. But she has so much poke that like I wouldn't be able to freeze lane where I want to freeze it, and I would have to tank up early on. So I'm not thinking about early game on this. I'm actually thinking about winning the game. So if I try to put MR on, it actually would be very beneficial versus E, versus her, versus Zerath, but then I would sacrifice attack, and they're all squishy. And later on in the game, Cass kind of shreds tanks. I mean, that one I will hand to them. That's what they mean usually by scaling. They're not really precise about what it actually is. I messed up there. The poison. I didn't know the poison did that much damage. I haven't faced one in a while. That was my mistake. I don't know if you noticed, she spammed everything real quickly. Ulted me as soon as she could, did everything as soon as she could, and just started hitting me. Because she knows that's a good knowledge of your champion. She knows that there's no way that I should technically beat her, at least not early on, because I don't do enough damage, and she can just shred me. The bad mistake that she made is that she assumed that I didn't know anything about that. I knew that that was it. I made a few mistakes in there. Like I said, everyone's human, but I also know my late game that I'm building, and I know my late game will shred her. I already know this as a fact. So she was extremely cocky about it after, I think it's my 3rd death. I have 3 deaths on this one. Really quickly. Back to back. Look, there's 6-2 by the way. So for those people that are like, oh, I'm behind 5 CS, I'm behind 10 CS. Look how far back I am. She's 57, she's 1, and I'm 1. And I'm still not afraid of it. But, well, your champion is easy to use, you know, you don't have to. I made another mistake right here. Yeah, I don't know why I was trying to get that CS there. I did tell her there, I'm not afraid of you. I actually told her, I typed it out. I said, hey, you know, you don't scare me. I kind of know how this game's going to play out. You know, you're going to lose is what I told her. And, am I 3 yet? No. This is where all the things started. Because I told her straight up, I said, I ain't afraid of you. And I'm not. If you begin to be... This is the psychological factor. First of all, I already know where this is at. Okay, this is gold. This is silver. This is the low elo. I'm not even facing real plats yet. So, unless this was a Smurf account, which I very much doubt, but it could have been. So I already know for a fact that that lady cannot beat me, as in the full length of the game. If I was going tank, like full out tank, I would be concerned. Just because there would be no way for me to beat her at that point. She would just shred me, she would heal up, I wouldn't be able to do enough damage to her. This nigga knows how to play. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of figuring out, you know, what to build, what to do, all that other good junk about your character, especially with the new rune system, because you want to make sure that you are able to last long enough. What I've noticed so far in the pros is he who lasts the longest and builds accordingly for the late game usually ends up winning. She's just any opportunity she gets. And she has technically almost unlimited mana, so. Now, so far, here's what I know about the new build that I've been doing. Especially since it's called. Look at that. Yeah, man. I have to respect that, man. Look at that. I think I die here. Yeah, they 3-man me here, surely. Oh yeah, watch this. This is actually pretty good. So, most people would go around there, try to bait it out. No, I know that she's going to defend it. She's super cocky. Look, I put it, I blade off, and then BAM! I didn't get the soul rush. Messed up. You see that? Easy. I tried getting it there, but it actually disappeared back. So that's how it's supposed to work. Actually, I'm supposed to let her get close, overcommit, and then take her out. That's what I should have been doing since the very beginning. Because she is stronger than me early game. And I was trying to see if Shiv would come back, because usually what happens is they'll try it again. They'll think that the jungler's not there, and so I was like, well, if I stay here, maybe Shiv will come back and help me out. But look, there she pinged again. That's a pretty good player. And look at her bot. Again, to show, look, we're 12-4 right now. She is 50 CS up and 2 kills, fool. Look at that. Ooh-wee. How many people would quit right now? Type it in the comments below. At 12:51, and you're that much low. By the way, this whole entire time, I do not feel an ounce of regret. Like, I do not feel like I cannot catch up to her. I do not feel like I cannot not kill her. Just one full item. She put on health too. She does damage. Look at that, man. That poke is insane, man. How many people would get already disgusted? Look at that again, man. I like how it doesn't stop my spin. Nothing stops Garen's will. But she has no ult. But that is her point. She wants to just continuously beat me down at a distance. How about getting beat in my lane? And again, I made a few mistakes. Would have probably played out differently if I didn't make those mistakes. Well, she wouldn't be 103 and she wouldn't be 2. So yeah, it would have been like a huge difference. Would she still be 106? I don't know, maybe. I'd probably be more than 46, that's for sure. Look at their side and look at our side. They are so ahead. Did my team want to forfeit? I think the one that wanted... I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think my team wanted to forfeit. My back was too.
Dominating. Blue team double kill.
Perfect. F1 must practice so hard on that. Like the laning phase. I've not practiced laning phase at all. I've practiced more build and kind of late game, not falling off, runes, and kind of world, understanding the game from like that side. I haven't practiced on CSing, as you can tell. Haven't practiced on laning matches or anything like that. Just straight up Garen versus whoever. And right here, let's see, I'll come back. Yeah, I got distracted. That shit does so much damage. I mean that shit, that fucking cast. So there, I'm 0-3 already, and they take my turret. They took all 3 turrets, actually, they rotated. Look at that, it's perfect. Picture perfect start. I don't think we took anything from them yet. Nope, nothing. I was typing that, I was telling them, you're gonna lose. You're not winning this game. Look, 19-7. When I told them this, it was 19-7. I said, if I know this correctly, I've seen this before, you're gonna end up losing this game. You're gonna fall off, is what I told her. And then he's like, psh, you know, Cass don't fall off. Cass. Just by looking how she was fighting, I could tell. I was so confident in this match. Like, you have no idea. Like, this, she's 129, I'm 59. They were like, oh, well, you're 0-3. I was like, that means nothing. And then she's like, well, yeah, it does. It means a lot. I was like, that's how, when people say stuff like that, that's how I know that they're not good. Like, hearing stupid shit, like, that's stupid shit. First of all, this is low elo, anything can happen. Always remember that. Actually, all the way to plat, because I was in plat. At least I can vouch and say that I was typing here. I was telling them, well, you're going to see you're going to lose this match. All the way to plat, I have seen it. Watch this. This is pretty interesting. She missed it. I went back. She has no ult. I still have my ult, and I have ignite. I didn't hit her there. I don't know why. Both our teams made up there. We lose that fight though. Good job. Oh, jinx.
Double kill.
22 and 8. Ooh, that was nice. Good thing, like 0, 4, and 2, 69. Cass is 4, 2, and 1, 130. We got two bottom turrets down. Triss is finally making a comeback there, though. Yas has a lot of farm, is what I've noticed. So look at Zero, 619, 1013. How many people would quit right here? It's almost 20 minutes. They're like super behind. But remember, it's all about builds. So the good thing is I have builds that actually get stronger as time goes on. So Garen has a peak. I'm actually reaching that peak already. And one way to catch back is to take objectives. Oh, there's a Zerath waiting there. He's trying to cheese me. Cass died again. Elandri Torment is to go versus tanks. But I'm not a complete tank. Like I just stand there waiting for him to hit me. Every time I guess I was gonna be easy to pick on. We take 3 turrets too. So with my build right now, the reason I've noticed that this works very well with Garen is his Q. I've noticed Garen's Q is the main indicator to tell you whether you're going to win a fight or lose a fight. And if his Q does not scale, like get crazy damage in this new season, you are not going to be able to last too long in a fight. And you're not going to win it because his Q is his main damage dealer. Everyone's like, well, it's his spin to win. His spin to win does do damage, but the Q is the one that silences them. So if you don't do that initial damage and make it a good one, to where they get afraid that they know they might lose the fight, it don't work. And his Q doesn't scale up as time goes on. So with Dark Harvest, on the other hand, his Q gets a little crazy as the game goes on, and it can switch out a fight. Uh-oh, what's happening here now? Scaling anyone? Scaling? Scaling? I see no one scaling except Trist, Neox, and Yas. Not called this early on. No, they're still talking shit though. Ooh, that was nasty. Fuck. Complete. That's how you kill someone right there. Yeah, Yas. Oh, nah. That's this beautiful place. A gorgeous place. I was hoping that our Yas and our Trist, I know Neox always does damage, but I was hoping our Yas and our Trist would scale as late game just because they're actually late game characters. Mid to late game. So Cass had such an early lead, but she put on the wrong items. I don't know if a regular Cass actually uses Leanders, but Leanders is usually going versus tanks. Because it doesn't do a lot of damage, but if it's a tank, the tank doesn't do a lot of damage either. the funny thing is that the Garen that I have is a fighter tank, so I do damage, and I can take some hits. I can take a pretty good amount of a pretty good amount of chunk of hits. Not as much as a full tank Garen, but the full tank Garen would not be able to beat a cast that is built correctly. Now remember, when you're fighting in rank, usually these people know what to build. So your idea, the way you're gonna win this match is your build should really just outtake anybody. Your build should trump their build. And if your build trumps their build, it doesn't matter how much skill set they have. It doesn't matter. Well, it does to some extent, but not as much. It kind of puts you even. If their skill set's really high, but their build sucks, and your skill's very low, but your build is fucking stupid, crazy, insane, then it kind of levels it out. And then all of a sudden, you might even have an advantage, because if they can't kill you, and you can kill them extremely quickly, there's an issue now. They have problems. I don't know if she had ulti. I might have been able to kill her there if it wasn't for what's her name. Watch this. This is a sick gameplay here. So they committed 2 tops. Now it's Yas versus 6. That Leo is not that good. She kept missing. Look at that Yas, man. Good God. Good job, Yas. So the cost of taking me down, they lose 2 people by. And to be honest, they're worth more than I am. See, these are the little things that they don't see. Look at the gold differential now. I think it's just 1,000. Because they keep killing me and I'm actually kind of worthless. I'm 0, 6, and 3.
Red team has slain the dragon.
And their builds are very typical. That build for Jinx is typical. By the way, I haven't even put any MR. Why? Because the real culprit in this match is going to be Jinx. With her crits. Because she does huge amounts of damage. Unlike the Cassiopeia, who... I don't know what the fuck she's building. Type in the comments below to see if you actually know that that's actual legitimacy. I don't know if Faker uses that. I very much doubt he uses that shit. I think Faker would go full out damage. Yas was telling me to put MR and I was like, I don't need to MR. MR would actually slow down my strength. I so wanted to 1v1 her here. Look at those Drakes though. Those 2 Drakes are actually pretty fucking strong. %? That is a lot. Yeah, a little too much there. That was a little too much there. I didn't hit anything. I should have gone back to Leo. Good thing is Yas is split pushing here. You see that? You always have to fight them directly, and they kept chasing still because they wanted to kill. And that guy's not gonna stop. Oh, that was such a beautiful. Look at this Yas. Squish it.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
They were trying to do Baron and wasn't gonna happen. 074, I'm 147. Now that's a core item build that I have now that has been in my repertoire. Reason is I'm actually there to kill. So Dark Harvest works very well with Dark Harvest works very well with Deadmans. remember I told you it was the Q, the one that kind of decides if you're gonna be, you know, a threat or not. You'll see here shortly. So late game Cass, I don't see it. Actually, she hasn't even bought an item anymore. She's been stuck with those items. A little too far up. I don't know what the fuck deal was going on here. We're taking a lot of damage now. The go in and out part. I wanted her to ult me. Yeah, she's gonna go. More souls for me. Cass is up top. Bad call, Cass. We're gonna come defend this thing here. Oh, he killed Dark. I don't think he was doing enough damage. I don't know if you saw the Q damage on that one. That's pretty decent. Yas actually dies versus Jinx. I was a little surprised on that. So how do you counter when they're trying to get an objective? By trying to get another more valuable objective, if you're able to. It doesn't always have to be a team fight. Unless you know you can win the team fight. They don't have that right now. Okay. I think they take it before we get there. They did that well. They did that Drake well. They actually got that thing right there. We messed up there. You also want to keep sideways pushing if possible. So you want to make sure that you got your minions pushing instead of their minions. Because if for some reason there's a middle fight, you're able to lag it, the minions will push. If the middle fight is a stalemate, the sidelines will push and they'll take something. Like for example, Bio there, someone has to go back. $38.24, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 Drakes and an inhib. Do you remember when they said that Cass was late game, right? I have yet to see it. Do you remember when Cass said she was going to be late game? I remember it. Well, that's why they didn't come up. You see that? How that Q didn't do too much damage? Since that Q didn't do a lot of damage, now she felt very confident. Boom! I knew I was gonna die here, so. She was the goal though to get that one. Look at that burst from that Triss. Good job, Triss. And now Triss, look at that! Look at that fail! Oh, that fail was insane. That jungle failed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is low elo, silver and gold. It makes sense what's happening right now. This is not the pros, man. They're gonna make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. This game is so horrible. We've all made mistakes in this game. We've all made mistakes.
Blue team's inhibitors respawning soon.
So they're getting their inhib back. And that's it, just keep the pressure going, keep the push going on the side. They make a mistake, we end up taking it. And they do make a mistake. Now I know I can push. Oh, you see that? You see how it doesn't do me damage? And I don't even have any MR. She has no ult anymore. And I get over here to stay. I stay there just because our team was fighting someone else in the back. You guys. There we go, once again. Get that Yas, man. He should die there. I think he does, yeah. And we take another turn. Y'all remember when Cass said that she was going to be leaking? Oh my god. She scales late game, ladies and gentlemen. Not in this elo, man. That Tristan risking. Oh, look at that, bro. I just noticed it just now. Our turret is not even down. They could have just gone and hit it. This elo is so ridiculous. I'm 2-9 and 7 now. I'm just taking souls now, trying to catch up on that Q damage. I'm stalling a little bit because we're about to take that Drake. We took inhib again, they should have defended inhib. Remember, their team comp is actually kind of squishy. Look at Yas, split pushing. They have to group up in order to win. That's not gonna do it to happen. Oh, we better win because they have vision. We really have vision. I'm going to hit it. Makes them stop. Oh shit, they knew where I was at.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
That's probably right.
Red team has
So watch this. God! That's damage. I'm gonna die here, but we already got one, so it doesn't matter.
killing spree.
Yas died though. God, look. That's damage. That's scalability. Ugh. Scalability. Ugh. Late game cast, ladies and gentlemen. It was late game cast. She scales late game. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember when Cass said that she scales late game? Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Late game Cass couldn't do anything. I wonder why. Because she wasn't good. Cheesin doesn't win games. You have to understand the whole entire map. Look, they never even took an actual legitimate real turret. We were able to split them up. We were able to make them 1v1s. I was able to kill at least one of them. You know, keep them from winning. You know, having favorable matches. So learn, people, learn. Never quit. Look, we're 46-34. Come on, man. This is ranked. Learn. If you're down 5 CS, it's not over. You're not going to lose. You're down. I was down so much fucking CS. Look, I'm still down fucking CS. I'm 206. She's 289. She's 10-6 and 9. Funny thing is, I have actually almost as much CS as other people. CS doesn't mean shit, man. CS does allow you to build your builds faster. But it still depends on the player. Everything depends on the player. Everyone always goes so statistical and shit. And like they're like, oh well, you know, I can't do anything. My champion, I can't do nothing. Like that's what they sound like. That's a fucking troll. Learn to play from behind. It's gonna happen. All right, get used to it. That's why it's called ranked. Not everything's gonna be perfect. Don't quit. If you end up quitting, then yeah, you're gonna fucking lose the game. Quitters never win. That's why that was invented in the first place. Learn to play under unfavorable conditions. Not everything's going to be picture perfect. It doesn't even happen for the pros, man. The pros, it's almost never picture perfect. Very rarely do they get a picture perfect game. So, just play the game. Play your opponent. Every opponent's different. They all have strengths and weaknesses. That Cass was an idiot. So I exposed it. I noticed that as soon as I started playing early game, there was no fucking way that Cass was going to be good middle or late game. She sacked too much. She thought I was going tank too, so she's like, oh, he's never going to do damage. And then I ended up doing damage. I ended up killing her. Under turret. Her buddies came up and saved her, obviously, but then she was gone. I mean, if she had that great of a lead, that should have just never happened. So, and I have no MR, really, except for the boots. That's about it. Look at my build. I was actually going for a little bit extra damage. So, no, people. If you're going to play ranked, number one, learn how to play from behind. Do not play ranked if you don't know how to play from behind. Number two, don't quit. If you're going to play ranked, there should never even be an option of quitting. You should just toughen it out and learn from the fucking humiliating loss if you get one. But if you quit, or you start inting, or you start feeding, or anything like that, like, you shouldn't even play ranked anymore. Because ranked is competitive. Ranked is actually, like, serious game. If you want to have fun and be an idiot and, quit and stuff like that, go to Norms. Norms doesn't matter. I mean, you can just quit in Norms and no one gives a shit. It's a stupid game anyways. That's where you can test out your bitchness in that game. But don't do that in the ranked game. Look, this was ranked. I was like down. I forgot how much, but it was a lot. Our whole team was sucking early on, and I kept talking shit to them. I kept saying, well, you're going to lose this game. We're going to win. And we did win. I was so confident. Not once was I deterred from my confidence that I could beat that cast. Because I knew exactly how she was going to be playing it. I knew exactly the type of player usually plays cheese like that. I knew exactly that one wasn't going to be good. Also, she had TP? Really? Like, come on, man. She didn't even have, well, actually, I don't know her runes. Let me see. She had phase rush, man. That's just stupid. I think I knew that. She was supposed to run. You should be careful as one running spell book. Then you know something's going on there. Usually those are the higher elo players, like really high elo. Now even then with spellbook, it's for little wins here and there, and then they just snowball it, and that's pretty dangerous. That means that they know how to play the game. They know their build is really strong, and all they really bank is on systematically choosing the right one. Even then, though, they'll still lose, but that's a stronger player than a cheese baller like that guy. So, anyways, learn how to play your champs. Learn how to play from behind if you're playing ranked. And if you're playing ranked, don't quit, don't int, don't feed, and never side with the opposition. I never ever sided with the opposite. I trolled them so. By the way, when we were winning, I was like, hey, everything got so quiet all of a sudden. I was like, hey, so what happened? What happened to late game Cass? Y'all, everybody remember when Cass said that she was late game? Because I remember that. I remember it's like, oh yeah, I'm late game. I was like, where's the late game? I don't see it. My late game's better than your late game, and I have no MR. Just to add an insult to that, like no MR necessary to beat you. If I was going versus another cast that probably did a lot more damage than that, I would have probably went MR because everybody there was MR. But for somehow, I already knew that Jinx might have been the. Garen is actually better when he's fighting people like that, and he has just enough damage to take out a mage just because of his Q. His Q is actually strong enough to beat a mage. So as you guys got to see, how he would kill Cass with that ult. That ult was beautiful. Yas started popping up mid-late game. So did Trist. Braum was kind of decent throughout the whole way, and then Neox always pinpoint. He did actually great in that game too. So if you know the characters on your team, try to play to their strength. Don't take it away from them. So usually Yasses are mid to late game. Early game, unless they get a lot of kills, they can snowball the game. He wasn't, but when I started seeing his mechanics, started noticing that he's able to do good, I was trying to help this guy out, Give him a few kills here and there, go sacrifice yourself for them. And that's actually the beauty about this build on this Garen. He's able to 1v1, like I said. He's able to take them on later on. Early game, I wasn't able to on this cast, just because she had very decent mechanics, very great laning phase. She technically beat me down on the laning phase, but I knew as time went on, late game she wasn't going to be able to beat me. Usually players that are really good early game are not that great late game, unless their builds are going accordingly. And I started looking at her build, and I noticed it was not accordingly for that huge lead that she had. So remember, bronzies, anything can happen. Silvers, same thing. Almost anything. Once you get to gold and platinum, it's a little bit different on the gameplay. But then you get to diamond. I mean, it's a whole different. Actually, I believe the real jump happens when you actually go from master to challenger. Then you start noticing like insane differences. But almost everything is kind of the same. It just depends on little things. Little things start changing, you go up. So when I was in plat, I almost made it plat 2. The highest I got was plat 3. I noticed that if you're able to kind of help out your team members yet withstand your lane, then usually you do well. And it works. It works. So you guys get to see there. Never ever quit. Winners never quit. Teamwork makes the dream work. cheese doesn't win games, man. Cheese rarely wins games. It'll win games if you're playing like a really bitch-ass team and then they decide to quit. So make sure you understand not to quit when you're playing ranked. Do not quit when you're playing ranked. Take the loss, learn from it, improve from it. I made a lot of mistakes in this game, yet we ended up winning because it's low elo. It kind of works out that way. You never know. I'm still below on CS, but now once did I feel the fact that we were going to lose this game, and our team was able to catch up after that. So never quit, never surrender. That should always be your mentality. Know your champion on how to play from behind. Know how to withstand the test of time. Don't be a cheeser. In other words, if you can't get ahead early on, then you shouldn't even be playing ranked just because it's going to happen. You're not going to be always in front. That's just crazy to think that you're always going to be in front. So if you can't play that champion early on or late game, do not play that champion when you're playing ranked, even if it's a counter pick. It's not going to guarantee that you can get ganked. You can make mistakes. There could be, I don't know, all hell breaks loose, whatever ends up happening. Learn how to play a champion that you're able to fight no matter what the circumstances are, and that you have at least a chance of winning with. So counter picks are just stupid. That only happens in higher elo. And by higher, I mean way past master. I've even had diamonds counter pick me where I ended up beating them. So that evidently don't mean shit. I haven't seen Master, but I think the only time it actually makes a difference is during Challenger. And even then, it still doesn't make too much of a difference because your team comp can make up for your weaknesses. So, oh my god, there's like so many different things that you can do in this game. It's not all set in stone, and that's the beauty of this game. If you start understanding these things, you will start climbing, seeing the differences. There will be games where you can't do anything about an AFK, you can't do anything about all these other things, but at the same time, that's not a reason to quit. You never know when you're going to win a 4v5. I've seen it happen before. It can happen. So make sure you just understand the gameplay. Can't stress out enough how this Cass and the Zerath and everybody was talking shit to me on their team. They were saying that it was over, that we should forfeit, and I said, no, you got to earn it. And I said, you're going to lose this. You can't earn this game. I was like, you're going to lose it. Just by looking at you already know. And I said that when I was 0-3, and I think she was 100 CS, and I was like 46 CS or 50 CS. So, proved out to be true. Proved out to be true just because I knew it. I knew the casts, you have to be highly skilled to use casts, like supremely highly skilled. And you got to know how to use her in the map. The way she was using her in the map was really stupid. And then you got to know how to do team fight. Okay, here's another little small thing. I've noticed a lot of team fights are not, they don't go according to how the team fight should go. When people say group up middle, I get scared because team fighting requires a lot of skill, like a lot of knowledge, a lot, and I mean like a bunch. Like you should never even team fight really if you're below challenger, is the way I see it, because there's so many little details that you do not know of. If you look at the breakdown from LOL, you will see what they see when they have a team fight, and if you don't see those things before that team fight happens, you don't know how to team fight. It's that easy. And so all these people, all these fucking noobs, they're like, go mid and win. You don't know how to team fight. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. There are times where it's I'll go mid and win, but it's very seldom when you get that. You have to be overpowering. You would have to be extremely way ahead. I mean, you would have to be dominant, and even then it doesn't guarantee that it'll work. There's a lot of different ways of fighting a team. As you notice in this one, we rarely grouped up. If we would group up, we would be demolished. And I think we did group up one time, and we got destroyed, except Yas was in the bottom, and he ended up, well, I guess we never did group up. So the idea is you don't have to group up. You have to find ways to win. Okay, find ways to win. And grouping up doesn't guarantee shit. If you have a low-skilled player and you're grouping up, now your weakness is even bigger. I was like, I don't understand how people think just magically it's going to make up the weaknesses. It's so stupid. If you're like so behind, it's the same thing. I don't understand how grouping up is going to win. It won't. Even if 5v4 you would be able to lose. Even if 5v3, if they're so far ahead, you'd be losing that. And that's demoralizing. So pick and choose your fights correctly. Learn how to team fight. And what I mean by that is like know when to use your abilities, when not to use them, how to position yourself, how not to position yourself. There's a lot more than that. That's just like the very top of it, and a lot of people don't know how to do even that. So, anyways, you got to see Cass. By the way, I remember when Cass said that she was late game. Anyone heard that? I think I heard that. Cass, ladies and gentlemen, the OP scaling late gamer loses in late game. Oh, that's such a beautiful thing to watch. I'm not going to lie. This game, the only reason I'm putting it up is to make sure that Cass knows that it don't matter how far you get early in the game. It makes a difference, but it doesn't win you the game. It doesn't guarantee jack shit. It just guarantees you get your items a little bit earlier. She didn't know what to do with it. What is that saying again? I'd wish you luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it. Ooh! Boom shakalaka. That's for you, Cass. That one was for you. You had so much luck in that first one. You didn't know what to do with it. You gave me little windows and openings, and I took those and I made it as much as I could out of them. So, boom shakalaka. On the shoulders of Garen. So, this build is insane. It actually ends up working very well. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I really do like this build. It kind of shows the possibilities that Garen can be late game, and that he won't disappear anytime before that, and that he's able to carry and he's able to come back from, you know, being completely destroyed early game, which my early game there was really bad. I played that horribly. I should have just hugged the turret, waited it out, wait till I got level 6, or wait till Shiv decided to come by and attacked. I mean, that was it. That cast was good at poking. That cast was great at, you know, laning. I mean, that cast was OP in that form, but team fights, she sucked. Roaming, she sucked. Knowing the map, she sucked. Taking objectives, she sucked. Technically, everything else that makes a great player, she was bad at, except the laning phase. So, hey, what can I say? And the funny thing is that she might have beaten me down on the laning phase, but I knew more about the map and I knew more about the late game than she did, and then she got done. She just assumed that I guess she'd be able to scale or something. Not with the face rush, that's pretty fucking stupid. Anyways, okay, so good fight, good night.